Welcome back to the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. We are always joined each and every week for our baseball weekly conversation. And today we're glad to bring back to the fold Coach Olin Parker. How you doing this week, Coach?
I'm good, my Mike. I'm good, brother. How are you?
Well, man, I dare not complain. Well, I will complain a little bit, but it's not going to matter. My Panthers seem to be becoming a bit stagnant, man, at the wrong time of season, but it is what it is, and we got to kind of work through this. At least they do qualify for the tournament as we see it right now, but they're letting some great momentum slip away from them right now.
Absolutely, Mike. Absolutely.
Well, we got the final week of regular season coming upon us. The picture is a bit more clearer as far as how things are standing, and we'll probably discuss it a little bit, but there have been a couple of subtle changes on the Western side, and we just got what we got right now, man. So let me shut up and let you begin with your episode and updates.
All right, Mike, we're going to start in the East as we always do. You got Alabama State at 24-3. They swept Alabama A&M. Their next opponent to be FAMU. You got Bethune-Cookman at 18-8. They won 2 out of 3 from FAMU. Their next opponent to be Jackson State. You got 17-10 FAMU. They lost 2 out of 3 to Bethune-Cookman, and they'll be finishing up with Alabama State. You got JSU, Jackson State at 12-15. They won 2 out of 3 from Valley, but they'll be playing FAMU there last weekend. And you got the old Mississippi Valley at 6-22. I tell you what, Mike, they've been surprising some people. They lost 2 out of 3 from Valley, from Jackson State, but they finished up at Alabama A&M, who they swept earlier. You got Alabama A&M at 3-23. They were swept by Alabama State, and they'll be home versus Valley. Over on the west side, you got your champion pretty much, Grambling State at 20-6. They won 2 out of 3 from Pine Bluff, and their next opponent will be your PV Panthers. Coming in second at 15-9 is TSU. They won 2 out of 3 from Prairie View. They'll finish up at Alcorn, so they're in good shape right there. They'll hold second. In third, you got 14-10 Southern. They won 2 out of 3 from Alcorn. That kind of hurt them for that second place slot, and they'll be playing UAPB for their last series. Your Panthers are 14-12. They lost 2 out of 3 at TSU, but they'll be at home versus Grambling. You know, even if they're swept, I don't think it'll make too big of a change for them. The best they probably can do is third. Coming in at fifth is 10-17 UAPB. They lost 2 out of 3 to Grambling, and they'll finish up at Southern. And 4-23 Alcorn. They lost 2 out of 3 to Southern, but 2 of their 4 wins was against Southern, and they'll finish at TSU.
Yeah, so when you look at this thing from the Western side, not that I'm partial, but maybe I am, but when you look at it from the Western side of things, Prairie View, as we stated earlier, they're kind of slipping right now. Thank goodness that we're at the final week, because at the way they're playing right now, they're actually losers 5 of their last 6 games. You got to stop the bleeding right now. Now, you from your coaching perspective, what do you tell your team at this part of the season right now?
Well, Mike, it's kind of a twofold. They really hadn't had a home game. You know, they've been playing on the road every game, so they should be road tested, but the game scheduled at TSU was supposed to be at home. They didn't play that. They didn't play Southern at home, and I think the only opponent they're going to play at home probably is going to be Grambling. So
and we're hoping that the weather holds up for that too, right?
We're hoping the weather holds up for that, because if the SWAC had anything to do with it, it won't change much for either team if they didn't play.
Well, you gotta play. Well, you gotta play. Technically speaking, when you look at the 3 and 4 positions of the West, Prairie View technically still has a game due with Southern. And Texas Southern has a couple of games due with Southern. Do they try to make those games up this week on Tuesdays or usually the non-conference days? Do you scratch? Prairie View's case would be Rice. Do you scratch that for the Southern game? Or what do you do? How do you figure this out? Or do you go to the room, flip a coin? Or do you just let it say, hey, this is where we are, this is what we got, and this is how we roll?
I think they're going to let it play out, Mike, because I don't think anybody has a chance to catch Grambling. Even if TSU swept Hawthorne, Grambling would have to lose all three to for Prairie View in order to make a difference. So if it ain't going to make a difference, I don't see them making a change. And it's so late in the year, you don't want to burn up all your pitching this week, knowing you got the tournament next week.
Well,
you really wear a lot of pitching out. If you play Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then get back on the road Tuesday.
Right. Well, the way things are looking right now, if we were to start the tournament today, you would have Alabama State paired off with Prairie View. You'd have Grambling paired off with Jackson. And Bethune-Cookman would be paired off with with Southern University. And then you would have Southern paired off with FAMU. Some pretty interesting matchups.
Well, as it stands on the East, I think you got a little mix-up. You have Alabama State playing Prairie View. You have Bethune playing Southern. You have FAMU and TSU playing because FAMU's in third right now. And TSU
Right. My fault. Okay. And then Jackson, of course, with Grambling. I'm going to have you put your crystal ball out for a moment. How do you see that first round coming out if you had to pick a winner right now?
Oh my. Well, I kind of think Alabama State is going to do due diligence with Prairie View. Bethune-Cookman, TSU, that's going to be a toss-up. TSU can't hold leads late. I think Bethune-Cookman may get them. No, Bethune-Cookman will be playing Southern. Bethune-Cookman will probably beat Southern. They're just falling apart. You got FAMU and TSU. Rob may outclass them. They've been slipping lately. Jackson State is going to be a scare for Grambling. You know, they're pretty. They're a team that's used to playing in the tournament, and they're playing for their dear lives right now. If you ask me, you know, their record doesn't indicate that, you know, the coach should deserve another contract. You know, you only got 12 wins and 15 losses, so I'm looking for them to come out firing.
Okay. Well, we still got another weekend series technically on the books, but as you say, right now, I could imagine that energy is being geared toward May 24th to start the tournament from Atlanta, Georgia. And we get all that lined up, man. This is probably, well, now more than likely it is, our final top 10 standing for the week leading to tournament play. And I'm interested to hear what we got going on this week, my man.
Top 10. Southern coming in at 10. Maryland Eastern Shores, 9. Coppin State, 8. North Carolina A&T, 7. Jackson State, 6. FAMU, 5. TSU, 4. Bethune-Cookman, 3. Grambling, 2. Alabama State, number 1. Gate the wire.
Oh, my. That's what I'm talking about. I say if you're going to do it right? Now, we were talking about it last week, some good response from some of the listeners. When we look at the situation of Alabama State, it's a lot of pressure on them coming into this tournament. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely, Mike. Absolutely, because there's a chance to be a 40-win team. They got 37 wins with 4 games remaining. They got a chance to have 40 wins. Even if you count the tournament games, I think they'll get 40 wins. The RPI is what's going to hurt them if they don't win the tournament. So as you stated, there's a lot of pressure.
And it's a pressure that I think could somewhat be handled a bit better from conference play. And here's what I say about that. We just witnessed the softball tournament, and congratulations to the Prairie View A&M University Panthers for being back-to-back tournament champions. But they have a true double elimination tournament play on the softball side of things. That is not the case in baseball. I do understand that the way they have the TV contracts set up, that if you make it to the championship game from the winner's bracket and you face off against a champion opponent coming from the loser's bracket, even though I'm undefeated in tournament play, if I lose that first game in that loser's bracket, my season is over with and I've only had one tournament loss. I don't like that.
No, that's not double elimination.
No, not at all. And it's something when, I've put on my Colombo jacket, those who are old enough to remember Colombo, and, try to inquire, and it came down to TV dictating the play on the field. And it's taking the game, if you allow me, from the ones in the case of Alabama State. They've done everything right, and not saying that I'm projecting them and pushing them to the championship round, but let's just say they did make it to championship round, and they're faced off against an opponent coming from the loser's bracket, and they got even more pressure added that if they don't take care of business, they're done, man. They're absolutely done. And there's no rhyme or reason for that, in my opinion.
Right. Well, if you got two champions, say if Grambling win all their games, Alabama State win all their games, then nobody has a loss, and you're playing a one-game playoff anyway, one-game elimination. So,
but is that even fair if it was a perfect storm? If you get two undefeated teams come through the ranks, that should be the best 2 out of 3 series to determine who your champion is.
Yes. That's why I say that we need everybody playing everybody, and everybody will be ranked from 1 all the way through, 1 through 12. And you'll have a true champion, a true regular season champion, and you'll have your regular rankings. So your 1 and 2 will get a bye, and your other guys will play, and that's, showing gratification for you doing so well during the year.
Okay, well, if you were to go that route, you would have to have a single elimination tournament then, right?
Nope, it can be double.
Okay.
It could be double. You got enough days.
Well, you might have enough days, but if you put in the factor of weather and, let's be honest, pitching depth, do you still keep it at a double elimination, or do you make it single elimination, you get your games in, and you save that back date for your 2 out of 3 series? To me, that would add more flavor to it.
I don't think they're ready for that kind of puzzle, because there's too many ways guys are trying to cut it up, too many pieces to be cut up. But I like the double elimination, and it says what it is. If you're at the championship game on Saturday and you win on Saturday and force a game Sunday, that's double elimination. But other than that, we're never going to have double elimination. But I really want to touch on why we should move to everybody playing each other and you have one regular season champion.
Okay.
So if you look at it, our RPIs need to change. And the only way we're going to change that is playing a total Division I schedule by everybody. You may not get 54 games in or 50 games in, so be it. You just got to play a D1 schedule. You want to be D1. We're crying about the haves versus the have-nots when they're giving you the same grounds to play on. You don't see a lot of LSUs or the big schools playing NAIA schools. They're NAIA D2 for a reason.
Okay, so you just put on your big boy britches, step on the deep end of the pool, and swim to shore, right?
Right.
Okay, so I kind of did a little research on that, and I'm going to be coming from the Texas perspective with Texas Southern Prairie View. In the state of Texas alone, as far as potential D1 opponents, where you could get enough mixing and matching in there, not necessarily everybody play the same teams, but the teams that are available on that D1 level. We'll start off with your Rice, U of H, Houston Christian, Incarnate Word, Stephen F. Austin, Sam Houston, UTEP, University of Texas, Texas A&M. There's a couple Dallas Baptist, and there are a couple others that I might be omitting right now. But those are enough programs. Let's not forget the Lamars, the McNeese, and if you even went on over to Louisiana, I just hit McNeese, but you got your Southeast Louisianas. There are enough programs within a very regional distance that you can have a pretty doggone good D1 schedule.
Absolutely, I strongly agree. The only guys that should have problems, and I don't see that being a problem, your Mississippi schools, there's enough there. Your Alabama schools are all right, and your Florida schools are all right. So it only makes sense to play a total D1 schedule. Now, I understand while some guys are playing in the NAIA schools, it's to jack up their record. That's the only reason to play those schools. But it's not helping the conference, when you do stuff like that.
Okay. Now, when you say to jack up the record, we talked about this a little bit last week on how you figure that Texas Southern is padding stats. When you look at, would you stay the same in the reference of a D2 or D3 program?
Absolutely. Yeah, because they're not Division One. They'll never go to the same national championship that you will be afforded to go to.
Okay. So it's D1 or bust.
Yes.
Now, What's your response to those who say that their budgets won't allow that?
Well, you got those D1 schools. You got those schools coming to you most of the time. You're not going to the D2 or the NAIA schools. That's so easy to schedule. If I'm Jackson, you got a bunch of schools in Mississippi. You got Louisiana Monroe, who you always play. You could either come down to Hammond, you play Hammond, play those schools. And one thing we probably have to eliminate, and I know they probably won't like this, is those tournaments at the beginning of the year where you're playing SWAC schools. You got to be able to find some other people to go play. I would not. If I was a coach in the SWAC, I'm not playing none of my SWAC opponents because I know I need to see them when it counts. So there's schools from up north who would love to come open the season playing down south for 3 games.
Okay, once again, that's going to be a potential budget question. And I'm not being, as they say, an adversary for intents and purpose of just saying I'm going to get under your skin, but I'm trying to think as others would think. Well, if we're going to play a school from the north, then we're going to have to pay them to come, and our budget's already tight as it is. How do you overcome that hurdle?
You won't have to pay them. I guarantee those budgets up north are predicated to travel to open the season because the weather is so bad there. They're prepared to travel. I'm on a JUCO level, and we found out that 10 to 12 other schools would love to come and play down south, and they're willing to travel. And that's at the junior college level. So if you market right and talk to the right people, you could always find somewhere to play. Not only that, Mike, Texas Tech always have a tournament to open the season. They're looking for guys to play in. Houston have a tournament. Rice has a tournament. You can find somewhere to jump in a tournament.
Okay. Well, you're opening up a creative side of things, which is always good, and I think that's been part of the challenge so long, is that we customarily do it the way other folks are doing it, and we find ourselves behind that 8 ball trying to compare their apples to our oranges, and it's never the case. And I could imagine even some of your Ohio Valley schools wanting to come and be a part of playing some SWAC schools on the baseball diamond in the Februarys and the Marches of the seasons.
Absolutely, Mike. I remember being at Grambling, and I just picked up the phone. I just had it in mind. I said, I want to just make some phone calls and see who we can schedule. I picked up the phone and easily scheduled Notre Dame. They had a weekend a week that they rent out the stadium in San Antonio, the Missions. We picked up 2 games there. I called Mike Martin at Florida State. He gave us some games at the end of the year before the SWAC tournament. So you got to pick up the phone and call people, and they'll definitely play you guys. You're Division I. There's no reason for them not to want to play you.
I'm liking the way you're thinking on this one, my man, because it does create a whole different vision toward SWAC baseball in particular, because that's what we're talking about, SWAC Weekly Baseball here at the Open Mic. When you open up these opportunities for these teams to come and be a part of something special, to be a part of that Southern hospitality, if you will, and let's be honest, it'll probably be one of the better times you have an inside track of beating some of these programs due that they're coming from the north.
True. Mike, I go to the ABCA on a frequent basis. I hadn't been in a couple of years. That's the time you shake hands with a lot of guys that's at other schools. That's your time to meet guys and get games scheduled. That was the way I met the guys at Notre Dame and scheduled those guys. And I see a lot of the coaches from the SWAC there, but I don't know if they're trying to put their program on the map by saying, hey, let's play. That's all you got to ask them. And they'll say yes or no, but there's every school at their conference. So while you're there, why don't you try to make some inroads with getting some games scheduled?
Right. Well, as you say, it's always about networking, and I don't care what line of business that you're in. And, of course, we're talking about college baseball right now, but it could be janitorial services, it could be landscaping, whatever the case may be. You got to network in order to build your brand and to set up future partnerships down the road. So, man, it looked like you put a little time in this one, my man.
And that's off the top of the head, Mike. I've been holding that inside me for a few years now.
Oh, well, man, I'm glad we was able to get some of this out of you, man, because it really sounds doable, and more importantly, it sounds logical, and it could kill multiple birds with one stone because, as you mentioned, you address the RPI situation. You then address your fine-tuning your players for tournament play, and I want so badly to see, regionals are kind of like part of the piece that comes from becoming your SWAC conference champion. But I want to see that super regional, man, and beyond with some of these baseball programs, because I still believe that there are some quality programs. I keep leaning back on Alabama State, and unfortunately, unless they get it right, starting with the tournament, they won't really get a chance to display that, because the way it's structured right now, we could only have one to represent unless the RPI situation is addressed.
Right, and until that gets corrected, they won't take a look at it. Once again, Mike, I got one other thing to add. I remember playing at Grambling in '86, and our schedule consisted of opening up at Florida State 3 games, playing Southern Miss 2 games. We had a tournament. Well, we played a couple of games at UL Lafayette during the year. and Graham used to always play Tulane. So, I mean, people will play you if you ask them to play, man. We just got to get off our butts and, get out there. If we want to be D1, let's be D1.
Well, I'm liking that, my man. I'm liking that. And it'll give us something to even further kick down the road as these things begin to unfold. And who knows, man, we could be on the cusp of creating a new paradigm in Southwestern Athletic Conference baseball. And I'm really, really excited. And speaking of SWAC baseball, we got some tournament play coming up, my man. And I already know you got an early head start that you're going to possibly be in the ATL, man, shooting us back some reports from the tournament, right?
Yes, sir. I'll definitely be there, Mike. So everybody stay tuned because I'm going to give it to you like I know it.
I know that's right. Straight off the top, no, as they say, no frills, no fashion, just straight baseball talk. And that's what I appreciate about you so much, my man. It's amazing how time flies throughout the course of having fun. Seemed like we just started about the MLB tournament yesterday, and here we are toward the end of the season. And I want to give you an opportunity, man, to somewhat reflect on the year and give us some closing thoughts for this week, man, as we get ready to wrap up this week's session.
Well, Mike, like always, man, the games are played on the field, and look like the East is still holding strong, but they're starting to beat each other up a little bit too. West, they got to tighten up to get in that tournament, but like always, the game is played on the field. We'll see who got what left, and best of luck to all of those guys. But as always, I can be reached at olinparker65 at yahoo.com.
No number this week, man?
Well, Mike, they hadn't called me. They hadn't emailed me. So I'm going to give you the number again. Somebody call me. Somebody email me. Let's open up dialogue. 318-436-9688.
All right. You got to remember, man, it's just like fishing. You got to keep casting that line. Just because they don't bite the first time, you don't stop casting your line, right?
If at first you don't succeed, huh?
Try and try again. He is Mr. Olin Parker. We call him OP with our baseball talk here from the Open Mic Broadcast Network. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Don't forget you can follow me on Twitter at The Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is the Open Mic Broadcast Network. And please feel free to visit the website at obnradio.com. And until the next time, you guys be blessed. And we'll see you on the other side.